Welcome into the live stream here for McCready and Siskey, powered by Rain Total Body Fuel here on this Eclipse Monday, April the 8th. Hope everyone had a great weekend out there. Hope everyone is safe. If you're in Carbondale, Illinois right now, it's total darkness. It's total darkness. It's a total eclipse of the heart. I mean, of the heartland.
I was wondering what the hell you were talking about earlier, the total eclipse of the heart. Maybe that was Laura saying that. Is that a song?
You don't remember that song?
It is a song. I remember now. I'm with you.
Come on.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm with you.
Okay. You got to remember that song. I mean, you're cool, but you're not that cool.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
You're not that cool. How you been?
Good, man. Good. We got a busy day today. We got our guy Tom Luginbill joining us here shortly when we hit the audio button and all that good stuff. And we got some baseball icks. We got some Masters. We got some basketball.
I went to the Elite 11. I got some Elite 11 icks.
We will do some camp icks right before Tom, who does camps, gets on here. So that'll be great.
It was
series on icks.
It was like people, what are you watching? I'm like, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't look like real football, so I don't know like what you're watching really. You're just watching guys. You can tell different guys have different arms than other guys, but like if you don't really know what you're looking at, you don't know the footwork and stuff. I mean, I was just like, can I talk to these three people real fast? I get the hell out of here.
I told Chance, my buddy Chance, that he was up there. He said he saw you. I said, Neal said he doesn't know what the hell he's looking for. I said, tell him to look for the big son of bitches throwing it a long way.
Yeah,
that's what he's looking for.
His name was Deuce Knight. Yeah,
Deuce Knight.
Yep.
Deuce Knight.
Yeah, he was pretty good.
Love it.
All right, we'll get rolling here on this Monday. Our only show this week, by the way. Reminder:
that's it.
No Thursday show. Tyler's headed to
Augusta, baby,
for the Masters.
I'm fired up. Me and my man Bob.
Azaleas, pine trees, golf.
My man Bob Brucato is already in the chat. I see him. He says
the Masters.
He said he's going to be 90% in totality in a couple of minutes, so he's going to miss the start of the show. So,
where are you, Bob? Are you in Arkansas? Or are you in Georgia?
I don't even know where Bob's at today.
That's what I'm wondering.
I think he's in Georgia
because I think Arkansas was getting like where Carolina is. They're getting like 98 or 99%.
He may be already out there. So.
Look at Carbondale. Just
see, I'd rather watch the eclipse like this instead of just burning my retinas off.
Yeah.
I mean, why not? Anyway,
all right,
let's do it.
Welcome into episode 168 of McCready and Siskey, powered by Rain Total Body Fuel. I'm Neal McCready. That is Tyler Siskey here on this Monday, April the 8th. Hope everyone had a wonderful weekend. Appreciate you being with us here. If you're watching us on TikTok, hop over and get us at MPW Digital on YouTube.
Yep, we're doing the TikTok live thing for the first time today. So if you're joining us on TikTok, hop over to MPW Digital on YouTube. Join the crew. We have a good time here. We won't bite. So my man Bob says 85 to 90 is what. So he's in Atlanta.
So he's in Georgia.
Yep. Yeah, he's in ATL.
ATL. We're brought to you by our friends at Rain Total Body Fuel. 300 milligrams of natural caffeine, BCAAs, electrolytes, zero sugar. It's got what you need to push the limits and achieve your goals. So check them out on Instagram at Rain Body Fuel to learn more. I'll start off today. I'm going to have the Rain Inferno Red Dragon.
Going with it.
Well, look, this national championship thing doesn't start till like 8:20 tonight.
That's past your bedtime.
And that's, well, about halftime is approaching my bedtime on a Monday night. So if I'm going to watch this, I'm going to have a little energy.
Okay.
And then Cubs are in San Diego. So I have that debate in your mind. Do I do this or not? Like they start at 8:40. And so it's one of those deals, fifth inning, if you're like, maybe one more inning. And then you just decide, am I going to ruin my Tuesday? Am I willing to ruin my Tuesday here tonight?
Somebody's got to do it.
So Red Dragon.
I would like to officially announce that Cade Hoggard and the Oxford baseball coaching staff is the athletic director. Whoever made this decision is so high on my list because right before we hit the live button, I got a text message that said the game got moved from Horn Lake that I was going to drive an hour there, hour back to home tonight at 6 o'clock. So that is going to allow me to do some viewing of the national championship game on my couch instead of in my car on the phone while I'm driving. So
that's good.
But Neal, I didn't know if you knew this. The Cooper Chevrolet chat is already bumping. It's going to be hot today. Scientifically speaking, Neal, Cooper Chevrolet prefers the Equinox over the eclipse.
Oh, that's
so you can
good.
go into right now. That's great marketing.
Really
great job, Cooper. Love you guys. All right, you can get 1.9% APR on the brand new Chevy Equinox, or you can get $2,500 cash allowance. Call our guys over at Cooper Chevrolet at area code 256-236-4481. Tell them that McCready and Siskey sent you. They deliver anywhere in America. They'll take care of you. Call our guys at Cooper Chevrolet and tell them hello. All right, Neal, let's crank this bad boy up before our boy Tom gets in here. He's got about 10 minutes. As normal, Neal, when we come back and have a Monday show and we have baseball tournament, 8-year-old baseball tournament, we start our show with baseball travel icks. And I got a couple icks. And this one's going, you're probably going to add to the icks. This is going to be the old man yelling at clouds /icks segment that me and him are both going to have here in a second. All right, so my first one, I only really had one ick from the tournament this weekend. We had a coach, they have outfield coaches in this particular travel ball league, 8-year-old.
So a coach is out in the outfield with the team?
Coach is in the outfield with the team. Balls hit the right field. My man's got like a face mask on. He's just out there just trying to figure out if he's going to pick dandelions or Bermuda grass. He doesn't know what he's picking.
It's fair.
They hit a ball to him, and he yells, "Throw it home! Throw it home!" Like he's going to pick up and crow hop and just laser one.
Yeah.
And so he does. He gives it all he has, man. He throws a grenade way up there about 40 feet. It lands. He's like, "You got to crow hop and throw that thing on a line." And I'm just looking at this guy like,
come on, man.
He's like 8 years old, maybe 7.
Fernando Tatis?
Yeah, I mean, he's got Acuna out there doing his thing. But so that was one. And then I can't do this segment without, I got to tell him myself.
Oh, here we go.
I got to tell him myself. I fell into the icks yesterday.
Self-help here.
Yeah, self-help. Provided by Cole Walters.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Yeah. Because we don't really have life advice today. So this is you about to give yourself some life advice. I am.
My wife gave me plenty.
Life advice? I bet she did. But not plenty of what you were looking for.
No.
Life advice presented by Cole Walters of State Farm.
3-time world champ.
Gonna be a minute for you the fourth.
Yes, really is.
Life advice presented by Cole Walters of State Farm Insurance. Cole is licensed in auto, home, life, health, business, and pet insurance for the whole state of Georgia. Contact Cole at 706-525-7850. You can also find him at ColeWaltersInsurance.com.
All right. So for those that don't know and join us new, I have an 8-year-old. I skipped generations. I got 17, 16, and 8. And Noxie, my man Knox. And so literally probably in the last month, he started wanting to go with me to work with Brock on his on baseball, right? If this is, I'm not even looking at the chat. Is that Drew in the chat?
No, it's Bob's upset about it.
Bob's upset.
Bob went and watched the eclipse for 3 minutes. He said that was a waste of 3 minutes of my life.
Welcome back, Bob. All right, so Noxie's, so in the last month, we've started, he wants to go and he wants to start working and doing some things. And I'm not being very complicated with Knox, right? I'm like, hey, he's playing shortstop. Hey, moving his feet to the ball, on defense, making sure his target, his feet and his momentum's going through the target when he's throwing the first base, things like that.
Okay.
And at the plate, he's gotten this thing where he's swinging all arms. And in case you haven't recognized, the Siskey clan is not genetically pre-engineered for launch angle and hitting bombs. Okay. We are genetically and by the family last name, we are gap to gap guys.
Gotcha.
And run. Gap to gap and run. That's a family thing. There's Tom. And so while Tom's joining, I'll finish it up and then I'll come back. I got one more ick when we get done. So he's coming. So Noxie, Tom, you're gonna have to sit here just for a second. I gotta tell him myself just for a second. And so my man Noxie, I'm working with him and all that stuff. And so Friday he goes out and they play 2 games on Friday. He hits great. He's hitting, got his little juice back and hitting the ball a little bit. And then so Sunday, they don't play Saturday. Sunday, he's going, I said, remember, load up on, getting him to use his feet and his lower half while he's hitting. I said, remember, go make sure you're loading up and all that. But he looks right at me and says, "Yes, sir." And he goes right up there and just swings all arms. It hits like a 78 hopper to the shortstop. It maybe had an exit velo of like 4 miles an hour. And he runs to first base, and I'm sitting outside the fence by first base. And then when he got out at first base, the ground out, he looked at me, and I may or might not have said, like, "Load up," like that, and it was really loud.
Yep.
And he gave me the look, and then started the lip quiver.
You knew it was coming.
I knew it was coming. He started giving me the lip quiver. He started crying, and my wife, she wore my ass out. I'm talking about just
right then and there,
just cussing not loud, but under my breath. She said some bad things to me under her breath.
Yeah, I bet.
It was one of those conversations, just her and I could hear it.
You knew what was coming later too.
Yeah, and it was bad. Bad night at Siskey household. So needless to say, after that game, I got to watch NASCAR, basketball. I got everything in peace. Nobody bothered me. I was left alone for a couple of days. I got to slide over a little bit now. Which way am I going? Back this way.
You're good right there.
Tom Luginbill, our buddy. Thanks for listening in for me getting my ass ripped. Joined live by my good friend, ESPN college football and recruiting. I'm going to call you an expert, not an analyst, because you do have 10,000 hours into it. So I will call you a recruiting expert and analyst for ESPN, doing the UFL now, in the middle of your camp circuits and all that stuff. And we were joking right before you came on. We do icks, like travel baseball icks and stuff. And then Neal went to the Elite 11 camp this week and had to cover it for Rivals. And he said he had some icks. I said, make sure you give the camp icks right before Tom gets on here for his camp.
Oh, I want to hear him. Well, while you're telling your travel baseball story, I got my wife coming into my office going, "Come out here. Let's look at the eclipse. And I'm like, I can look outside my window and see it's gotten dimmer. That's all I need to see.
Yeah, I don't get caught up in the eclipse icks. My mom was very excited. She called me. She was very excited. They're retired now. So, when you're retired, your day falls around certain people, and certain things, but they were fired up about that.
Neal, I want to hear your icks. You got me intrigued now.
Oh, there.
Okay,
go
so
ahead.
Here we go. It's Elite 11, and so you think Elite 11 and you think quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. And the quarterback part of the camp, I got it. The O-line, D-line part of the camp, at the beginning of the camp, they've got on these little shell-looking things on their heads.
They're like water polo helmets.
Yeah, that's exact. The man works for ESPN. I don't. There you go.
Yeah, that's why he's an expert. We're analysts.
But those water polo helmets aren't providing like real. They're not doing anything. They're just there to say, "Hey, look, we tried something," and it's just which means that you're doing like these full speed rush drills and such.
Oh yeah.
But there's no pads. So it's not real football. You don't actually have a quarterback moving around. You don't have there's no threat of a running game. It's just I'm watching it going, okay, yeah, I get it, right? Let me finish my thought.
No, it is. I'm just laughing with you, boss.
If there's this 6'5", 245-pound kid who can just explode, yeah, sure, he's a stud. But I don't need that camp to tell me he's a stud. I'm gonna look at him and go, oh, I got a chance. And then I'm gonna look at his film. And if he plays for Home City High School out in Ridgeland, Texas, wherever that is, making something up, I'm going to look at that and go, oh, yeah, he can play. I don't need a camp where I put him up against different people and I make up football to find out that he's good at football. Like, I want to know, can you play football? And when I watch him in a camp setting, yeah, I can see some things, like I can measure, all that. But I get it, but give me a break. That's all. And I guess what I'm getting at is a lot of that. It just felt like hey, I'm all for capitalism. I'm all into it, totally for it. But that's just a cash grab. You're lying to kids.
So Tyler's already going to know how I'm going to respond to this. Okay.
I was just over here smiling. What are you talking? I'm just laughing.
So first and foremost, and let me say it for the folks in the back. The most rigged football drill, pads or no pads, is interior line one-on-one. To your point, Neal, you have no run support responsibility. You have no half a man. You have no gap responsibility. You have a two-way go off the ball. Really, the only rule you have is you're not supposed to technically be able to bull rush, right? You got to use some
allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yes.
The offensive lineman, I don't care how talented he is on his heels from word go on every snap, right? He is at such a disadvantage. And there have been more false defensive lineman rankings on the internet in recruiting circles created by that drill for 15 minutes of a 2-hour camper combine than any other drill maybe in the history of the sport. And what all this lends to, guys, is this is the only sport that cannot be duplicated in the offseason. If you play golf in the fall, you play golf in the spring. If you play high school basketball with your team in the winter and you play high school basketball in the summer in AAU, it's the same game, right? Football cannot be duplicated in shirts and shorts. It's a great tool. There's going to be things you want to identify. There are going to be things you want to verify, all of those sorts of things. But that's the one thing that separates football from everything else.
I feel smarter now.
Look at you.
Dude, I feel validated because I'll be honest. I was walking around there going, and they sent me out there to basically talk to 4 kids. Okay. And I can't talk to them till the damn camp's over. And so the main thing on my mind was how much longer? How much longer? I felt like the kid like on Christmas Day. How much longer? How much longer? Are we there yet? I mean, but I'm watching that going, this is stupid. Like I kept saying to myself, this is dumb.
The only thing
that's dumb. And then some of the quarterback stuff, I get it. Like I get it. But like a lot of the quarterback stuff,
I didn't see the drill, so I don't know what they're doing.
It's fine. It's fine. The quarterback stuff is fine. I can get over it. The line stuff, I'm like, okay. Now hearing Tom say that, now I understand how some of the recruiting rankings can get so mishandled.
To Tom's point, when I watch those drills, and look, I'll watch them. I watch the hell out of them. When I watch those drills on tape, I only look on the defensive lineman. I look for what I call initial quickness, initial burst off the ball. I want to see that, and you can tell hip stiffness a lot of times. That's it. I'm not looking for the result of the play, or result of what's going on, as much as I am the movement involved, like success rate. But to his point, what he's saying about being, some of these guys look like underwear All-Americans because of one, who they're going against. They're just a better athlete. And then 2, they'll do the bull rush and things like that, and they'll knock a guy down, and everybody will hoop and holler. I'm like, well, everybody watches football, right?
Yeah.
What success rates do defensive ends have in a real football game when it's 3rd and 45, and everybody in the and it's the last play of the game, and they know you're throwing the football? They're going to be able to get to the quarterback.
Yeah.
It's the same thought process, right? So they're just cutting them loose and going.
Ty, I'm going to give you 2 prime examples of guys that were so overvalued because of this very drill. The first one, you might have to go way back, Neal. I don't know if you'll remember this guy. Tyler, you will. There was a defensive lineman by the name of William Campbell going way back. This might have been like 08, 09, 10 or what have you, signed with Michigan.
Yep.
And he did this exact thing on the camp circuit, and the internet websites blew him up like he was the greatest thing since pocket T-shirts. And the entire time we're watching this guy on film, we're going, this guy's an offensive lineman. This guy is an offensive lineman. The second guy, and I don't know if I've ever been more lambasted by a fan base than this guy and where we had him.
Did he go to Auburn?
No, he went to Tennessee, and that's defensive tackle Khalil McKenzie, who was 6'3", 350, right? So imagine in a non-padded one-on-one drill what's taking place. And then when you watch him on tape at De La Salle High School, he had slow get off. He was a 2-gap space eater, and he could only play for 2 consecutive downs at a time. And every website had him as a top 3 overall player in the country, not as a defensive lineman, in the country, because of that very drill. Drives me freaking crazy.
Now, I would say this too. I've probably dinged more guys watching that drill, because if you're watching like, there's an argument to be made that it's actually bad for the evaluation side bad for the players because you're going to kill more than you're going to like.
Yeah.
By evaluating. Like, I don't want to say the kid's name. I don't want to say his kid's name. I've
say it.
I've X'd. No, I'm not doing that. I've X'd.
Well, he's an adult now.
And they get paid. And they get paid now.
True. I'm not doing. It's not mine. I'm not going. If he was, I think he's still playing college. So I'm still.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh, so he can still transfer portal 4 or 5
Yeah,
times.
he's still portal 64 times. So we're good to go.
Oh, sure you can.
All right, I got a. We'll get cranked up. I got some stuff here. I was very proud of some of my questions I got for Tom today. All right, so you were, I guess, still are the face. And back in the day, when I say were, the way it was, man, the great old days, the face of National Signing Day on ESPN, the greatest show ever on the first Wednesday of February on ESPN. I was a big part of one of those days back in 2013.
Yeah.
What do we have to do as a sport?
Please don't slander the young men, though. Okay,
I'm not going to
ask you not to do.
I won't do that.
Okay.
What do we have to do as a sport to make signing day great again? What do we got to do as a sport to make signing day great again?
Quick question before I answer that: slander or truth bomb? Slander or truth bomb?
Both.
I mean, I'm for both. But yeah, no. I mean, it's a great question, and I'll ask it a different way. Will National Signing Day ever be the big, not holiday, but you know what I mean, the big extravaganza that it once was?
No, it won't be for 2 reasons. Number one, there's more than one of them. So there's no longer that 11, 12-hour live election-style show. And the transfer portal has put these high school kids who've started to figure it out into a position to be knowing full well that I better commit early and take the scholarship that's available because it may no longer be available. And I don't necessarily think that's hurting the top 100 kid or the top 200 kid or the top 300 kid in the country. But everybody else beyond that better be darn careful. And so what's happened is, and I'll use this last fall, the first signing period, we went into that day. There were only 14 players in the ESPN 300 that had not committed. So all of the anticipation, all of the where is this guy going to go, all of the where did he visit last before signing day and how much of an impact is that going to make, it's all evaporated. It's gone. So now we've gone from having a 11, 12-hour live show where we would bring on 15 different coaches across the country. We'd have a minimum of 10 verbal commitments live on air of guys who didn't know where they were going. They actually did it on air, to now having a 2-hour show the third week in December. And really, we had a 1-hour show in February. I think the only way you get that NFL draft type feel or that Super Bowl type feel to celebrate recruiting would be to go back to one date. Now, would you get that or something closer to it, even with the proposed move or the move that's coming with the signing day that the weekend or the week before the championship weekend? Yeah, you probably would. I bet you we could bang out, 8-10 hours out of that. But would that change the fact that going into that day, instead of having 70 kids that hadn't committed, would you still have 10 to 15 like we had this last year? And so now it doesn't matter how long you make the show.
Yeah, that was my whole. We talked about, I don't know, a month or so ago.
I had a conversation with the dad yesterday. I won't go into any details at all, but he basically told me that, he's a kid's going to get offers. He's underclassman, going to take the first one because they know getting offers is going to be really difficult because schools are leaning into the portal as heavily as they are.
Especially at the quarterback position.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. The quarterback position is the one. Like they're all it's all jacked up. But I'm saying at quarterback in particular, there is no more develop. It's getting to the point now to where, and we've talked about this, but I know Tom wasn't on here, but it's getting to the point to where you're developing quarterbacks for somebody else. You're not even developing quarterbacks for yourself. How many quarterbacks are homegrown anymore? Like how many quarterbacks that are starting quarterbacks, like big time starting quarterbacks, how many of them were signed by that school?
I thought about this yesterday. I was watching some.
It's not 50%. I guarantee you that.
I was watching.
No.
Yeah, no, I was watching a couple of kids, one that's committed to Florida State, one that's committed to Arkansas. So, Power 4 programs. And, they both look pretty good. Both have good arms. The kid that's going
to Arkansas kid's really good.
He's good. Yeah, the kid's going to Florida State can really move. And you're watching those guys and you're like, What are the odds that either one of those guys ever are the guy at their place? Like, the kid that's going to Arkansas, you could look at him. He's got a frame, got a big arm, smart kid. Not ready today. Who's asking him? He's a 25 kid, right? He doesn't have to be ready today. But, he's going to need a year, probably, maybe 2 years. Needs to get a little bigger. He will. Needs to get, a little stronger with his arm. Probably will. But is an SEC program going to wait on him? Or are they going to process him out? Or is he going to, in this era, going to go, well, I'm not starting 6 weeks in. I probably need to get in I'm not picking on this kid. I don't know. I don't know him. I met him yesterday. Right. He seems like a nice kid. But the point was, we've totally changed it to where, and if you're developing, do you have the coaching staff have 3 years to develop a kid to come in and be your guy? Or do you go, okay, well, not really sure. Let's go get the proven kid out of the portal. And there's that.
Yeah.
Like the question you have to ask yourself then is who's willing to be the next kid at Georgia? Because that kid did it. He could have walked. He could have transferred. And he put himself in a position to succeed because by the time it became his turn, he had been in the weight room for 3 years. He'd been in the system. He'd grown. He'd matured. He'd seen just about everything. He entered into that starting role with such a greater sample size, maybe not on the field play experience, but life as a college student scholarship athlete experience, that all of these other kids, at the moment it doesn't happen for them, they pick up their ball and they go home, and they don't have any of those life experiences.
No, that's the point. You sit there and if the kids, I should say this, you need to do 2 studies. One, how many kids are playing quarterback where they were signed, but how many of those actually sat at all? How many of them played as freshmen? Because you play at freshman now, they're they love them some school, right?
Sure.
But how many of them actually had to sit and develop? I bet you there's not over 10. There's probably not over 10.
You're right. You're 100% right.
I mean, it's. I mean, you think about the league. I mean, how many of them?
Carson Beck.
Okay, there's one.
Jalen Milroe.
There's one.
2, if he's going to be starter.
But he started. Right. Yeah.
You like how I snuck that one in there?
But he did start. And if he doesn't start, it's probably because the
Ty
Simpson, who's same deal.
Yeah.
Right.
So Georgia, Alabama.
Could have Cade Klubnik, but that might be 2 years from now. Or a year from now because he's still young.
The kid at LSU, did he start there?
Garrett?
Yes. Garrett Nussmeier deserves a lot of credit. And every time he's played good.
Yep.
Really good. Connor Wigman, if he can stay healthy, he's going to be another example.
Yep. Let's see. Ole Miss has a transfer.
State's transfer.
Arkansas's a transfer.
Auburn's a transfer.
Brady Cook started at Missouri?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's had a hell of a career.
You see a pattern here?
Yeah. No, sure.
Yeah, he's had a hell of a career.
Yeah. How many of them were like, yeah, that guy sucks? Huh?
Oh, so many. Yeah. I mean, Missouri
Avery Johnson at Kansas State will be one of them. He'll be one of them, but he was just a freshman this last year.
It's a pattern.
It's hard, man. It's hard to name any.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to be patient. You have to have a staff.
Miller Moss.
Who's that?
Miller Moss at SC.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. There's a pattern. Usually if they do that, they're pretty good. All right. I'm going to jump a little bit. I have guilty. Neal will probably not be able to participate in this conversation because this is his favorite sport. I have been watching UFL because of my personal interest and relationships with particular players that are in the league.
Sure.
You get to cover it. So I've watched, obviously, AJ's quarterback in St. Louis. I've watched that, Matt Corral's quarterback in Birmingham. So I watched those guys play. And then obviously Tamu is quarterbacking at DC. So I feel like I know just about the entire league of quarterbacks at this point in time.
Yeah.
But it's very evident to me 2 weeks into the season that the talent level in the league is much better than it was when it was the XFL and USFL. Now, obviously, they basically combine leagues with cutting the teams in half. So I get that there's a mathematical equation to this, but it's night and day compared, like watching St. Louis play this year compared to last year. And they were a playoff team in the XFL. And then you watch the receiver talent that they've added there. And then the offensive line play, still not great, but it's better than it was.
Absolutely.
I actually saw AJ step up into the pocket for the first time in his St. Louis Battlehawk career this past weekend. So I haven't seen that in 2 years. It's more than me escaping. But what are you seeing are you seeing kind of the same thing? And do you think that there's going to be more NFL pickups out of the UFL than there were the last 2 years out of USFL and XFL?
I'm seeing the exact same thing that you've noticed. The concern every single time you go out in a spring football league is you're scared to death what you're going to be in the offensive line, because it's a 4.5 week training camp with no preseason games. Next thing you know, it's live bullets flying, and the defensive front just outmans the offensive line personnel. That group takes time to gel. Is it perfect? No. I think it's 2 weeks ahead of where the XFL and the USFL were a year ago in the offensive line. It took to about week 4 or 5 to where you saw some teams kind of start to come together. The consolidation of the two leagues created more talent for every team and better depth for every team. Talking to Skip Holtz at Birmingham, and he's done an unbelievable job. The one thing he said on our call last week prior to the game with Michigan is the last 2 years, he never felt comfortable if they had a starter in the offensive or defensive line go down. They were worried about the guy stepping in. This year, he goes, I don't care who's playing, because that's how much more talented it's become. To answer your question, yes, I do think we'll see more and more players sign out of the UFL, but maybe here's the more important part in all of this. Is the guys that would normally, that are good players, maybe they've played in the league for 2 to 3 years, and they're starting to price himself out, because if there's a younger player that costs less, the older guy's going, but he's played a lot of football, and he's only, let's just say, 27 years old. So those guys are going to be everywhere. So what you're starting to see is that type of player, instead of signing an NFL futures to go into the offseason program, they and their representation starting to realize we're better off signing and going and playing in the UFL, getting 10 games on film, and we can still get signed,
right?
All right, and work towards that. So they can sit there and sign a future for no money, go into the off-season conditioning program, do an OTA, do a mini camp, or should I be playing, right? And that's where I think we saw the biggest leap. I felt it was going to come. This league right now reminds me of what NFL Europe looked like in the late 90s.
Yeah.
Like 98, like our quarterbacks at Amsterdam, our quarterbacks on the same team were Kurt Warner and Jake Delhomme. And at the same time, the other teams had good quarterback play too. I remember Leroy Glover playing at Barcelona. The list goes on and on, but it was just really strong, good talent with guys that went on to stick. That's what I think you're going to start seeing as a result of this season's UFL teams.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't really even think about it, before I started watching, and then I was like, the last 2 games, I was like, damn, it's a lot better than it was, and it's good. And I agree with you; they're much further ahead than they were a year ago.
And all 4 teams, by the way, Tyler, this last weekend, every game came down to the last series of the game in all 4 games.
No, it was good.
Yeah,
AJ had a winning drive, or drove them down, and they scored. They popped a trap or inside power, one back power for about 40 down to the 3, and ran it out and kicked a field goal. All right, question. You get to travel a bunch, covering games and all that stuff. What is your favorite city? UFL, college, it doesn't matter. What's been your favorite city to travel and cover a game? Like to hang out, eat, all that stuff.
Might be Seattle. Might be the University of Washington. If you took the atmosphere, the environment, the city, the game day deal, that might be one of the most underrated home field advantages in all of college football. It's a really difficult place to play. So, they're on the water, and I'm sure you've seen the stadium. It's got those big aluminum overhangs on both sides. Well, that thing is sunk down, and it gets so loud that those overhangs that are there for rain, obviously, hold all of the sound in. And it is really difficult to contend with. Obviously, Seattle's a great town. If you were to ask me where I think the best place to maybe call a game, I would say LSU or Auburn at night versus a ranked opponent.
Oh, yeah.
You probably might agree with me on that one, Tyler, Neal. I don't know. But when I've been on the field in those environments versus ranked teams, that's as difficult a place where you have the crowd is so sustained, like there's no dips, right? It's such sustained chaos and noise and I think a lot could be said for Clemson in Death Valley. That one's really good too. The one that everybody says is just so hard to play in the 4 or 5 times I've been there, don't get me wrong, it's a good environment, but it didn't seem impossible to me, and that was the Swamp. And maybe it's because the teams haven't been as good lately, but I've always kind of came away saying it's not as hard as I think it is.
It used to be.
I thought it was.
It used to be hard per sources.
Yeah. Yeah.
You make a great point about LSU. Like, people do the deal about LSU at night and they go, boy, it's just always incredible. I'm like, no, it's not. But when somebody in there is when they are in the game against a highly ranked team at night in that place, whew,
it's been there, done that one a couple times.
And I'll give Auburn a ton of credit. I agree with you completely in terms of a place that gets loud and stays loud, kind of regardless, but especially at night. It's Auburn.
Yeah, it was one of the quietest places that you'd be surprised to hear, and it's a great town for college football, great places to eat, but it's the quietest 110,000 people on the planet, Michigan.
Wow. Is that because of the design of the stadium, you think? In a
golf clap.
Yeah.
The nicest fan base in the history of college football, the nicest. I'm talking about, without question, Nebraska.
Oh, yeah.
Nebraska, they will be like,
those
great
poor
job.
Suffering people.
Like to the point you think they're being condescending to you. But hey, this is a great job. You did a great job today, buddy. You feel like you're getting the buddies and the pals and the skips.
It's genuine.
And they're genuine. They're being as nice as they can be.
That's the Midwest, man.
Yeah, they're nice. They're
like Iowa, nice. Nebraska, those kind of places. People are nice. I'll tell you one, we're not going to go down this road, but one of the ones that sticks out on a one-time deal was South Carolina at night. It was
they get it.
It was if I recall correctly, it was a Thursday night. Ole Miss went in there as a ranked team, and that place,
dude, South Carolina's a tough place to play, brother.
That place was crazy that night.
I'll give you a couple
South Carolina people.
I'll give you a couple that people don't know. So, Iowa, unbelievably hard to play at Iowa.
Yeah.
Camp Randall, Madison, really, really good.
Been to Iowa, didn't do that one. I've never been to Wisconsin.
Iowa's unbelievable. The one that I still say to this day is the loudest stadium I've ever broadcasted a game in the last 19 years was when they enclosed Mississippi State on the one north end zone with the Cowbells. Forget about it. It's the only stadium I have to wear a block in my ear that doesn't have my IFB.
Well, I've said this on this podcast is I've coached at Starkville many a times over the years with different schools. Yeah. I have to wear I'm a double headset guy, and I would wear earplugs inside of my headset because if somebody left their talk, and you'd have to stay on them, hey, turn your talk off, turn your talk button off,
because then you'd hear the bells.
It just echo. Well, it doesn't matter. You're still gonna hear it. I have a migraine every time. I mean, it's bad. I have a massive headache every single time I leave there. So, and
I'm almost surprised they allow it.
What's that?
I mean, I really am. I'm almost surprised they allow it. Because it's a huge advantage compared to other places.
Well, they're not supposed to, but they gave up on that a long time ago. Look. All right. Hey, little known fact about my man, Tom Luginbill here. My man, Tom, grew up and went to Torrey Pines High School.
Oh, yeah.
In San Diego. So, how many times have you played Torrey Pines in your lifetime?
3.
That's it?
But all at the age that I didn't have the appreciation for. So, my dad would be at San Diego State at that time, and I was in high school. I think I played it one time when I was at Palomar College and junior college. And I lived, so that's right there in La Jolla. And if you're one town up I-5, beach side, that's Del Mar, where the racetrack is and all this and that. That's where I lived from, 7th grade to leaving for Georgia Tech after my sophomore year in junior college. So I spent a considerable amount of time there. But as an adult, I haven't spent much time. I spent time in Los Angeles and Orange County, but I haven't spent much time in San Diego at all. I really haven't. So I didn't have a chance to spend much time at Torrey Pines. But I mean, it's that whole thing. It's basically a Southern California Pebble Beach.
Yeah,
it's what it looks like. It's what it feels like. It's just warmer and less windy.
All right. So on that topic, who do you got winning the Masters this weekend? We got to get your official pick. Who we got?
I have no idea. I haven't followed it. I've been so busy. I have a transfer portal deadline that's due next Monday, and I've got the UFL, and I have not even
transfer portal. What is that?
Oh my!
Hey, wait. Give me a couple of guys, though. Give me a couple of guys, and I'll take a pick.
All right, so we got. I think Scotty Scheffler. He's going to be the favorite. But this is the first golf tournament we got the live guys back with the PGA guys.
Sure.
So you got Scotty Scheffler, you got John Rahm, you got everybody. John Rahm, you got DJ, my man Tiger's playing. He's going to attempt to play. If he better make the cut. We're going.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'm going Saturday.
If he makes the cut.
Yeah, I'm going Saturday. So if he doesn't make the cut and I'm going on Saturday, I'm just going. I've tried to watch him. I went to a U.S. Open at Shinnecock. I think that was in 2018 or 19, and he missed the cut. So I have yet to see him play in person.
I'd say Scheffler. I'm going to say Scheffler.
Yeah, I mean he's playing out of his mind right now. He should win it. John Rahm, I'll be interested to see him. He's playing good. So we'll talk about it a little bit later. I just didn't know if you were a big Masters guy, big golf guy.
I am. I'm a huge Masters guy. The problem is I just don't have the time to continually follow golf the way I should, probably.
All right, you're gonna love this next one. Here we go. So,
all right.
I didn't know if you know this. We actually reached our monetization on TikTok over the weekend, so we're all fired up. And for the first episode ever, we are live on TikTok as well. So there's my man Tom
right now.
Right there. Yeah, right now. Let me pull it over there.
Oh, hello, myself. And
yeah, there's. So we're live on TikTok, and so you would get it. So TikTok, you're going to get appreciation out of this. All right, how much does it make your skin crawl as a former coach and a professional evaluator of players to see people on TikTok charging kids to watch their film and put it out on social media? I didn't say evaluate. I should say loosely, quote unquote, evaluate when they go, "Oh, good job, great spin move." How much does that make your skin crawl when they are basically being a con artist and taking money from these kids and their families?
Yeah, this would be a big entry into the icks segment, right? I mean,
self-proclaimed expert, by the way.
Exactly, proclaimed expert, and I just, it is such a low ball move. Like it is to me, it is just so unethical and immoral to have the thought to do that. And it's hard right now. I'm having a hard time putting it into words.
You know what it is, Tom? It is the equivalent of the people that prey on senior citizens with phone calls telling them if you just will do money, if you got to give money here, or they use AI to like pretend to be a child. And you take advantage of an older person who, it's that sad. These kids are chasing a dream. They have parents that desperately want the dream for their kids, maybe too much, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Parents are always going to overlove their kids. It's a good thing, but it makes you vulnerable. And these people are preying on it, and it's nasty.
And what are you getting in return? Like, that's the thing. Like, is anybody asking, if I paid this guy for this, what is it going to do? Like, what's actually going to happen that is going to change my status tomorrow versus today if I pay this individual?
They're being convinced that if they'll just do this one thing, that's going to finally put them on the radar. And once they get on the radar, someone's going to see this talent, and boom, here comes the offer, and the dream comes true. And now that we're off to the races, that's all it is. And it's instead of someone saying, "Hey, Jimmy, this isn't going to happen. Enjoy your high school career. Get ready for what's coming next in your life." There's plenty of people who live long, happy, fulfilling, successful lives who never play a down of college football.
Ever.
You don't have to play a down of college football to be a man, to be a great person, to be a leader, to be a father, to be a winner. You don't. And not everybody's born with athletic ability. Just is what it is. But there are plenty of people out there who couldn't throw a ball 4 feet. Who are geniuses and have a lot of other things going for them and are great people, and all these people prey on those people.
100%.
That's all it is.
All it is. You're right.
Nelson Martinez on TikTok said, "Is NCSA one of them?" Yes.
Yes. 1,000%.
1,000%. Yes.
I
can get your son into D1 soccer. No, you can't.
Yeah. Hey, Tom, you missed I don't know if I ever told you this or not. I told this on the podcast it's about a year ago. I got an email wanting me to call because they from NSCA, or is that what it is? NSCA, NCSA, whatever it is.
Yeah, NCSA.
They called, wrote me an email saying that they would like to talk to me about my son's recruitment in college, and would like to talk about his film and what they saw in the evaluation. And so I played dumb, and I called him up. And I'm like,
this is gonna be too good.
I called him up, and I was like, tell me what you saw. Tell me, look, my son was he played special teams. He didn't play much. Yeah. So I said, tell me what you saw he deserved a college scholarship. I'm so curious. What did you see? And they go reading off all this stuff. I was like, who evaluated this? I was just curious. And they were like, well, such and such, he evaluated. I said, who the hell is that? I said, I've never heard of him. What does he do? He goes, well, his dad used to work for a team. I was like, so that makes him a good evaluator because his dad works somewhere? And so I was like, how about you have that guy call me? And then I told him who I was. I said, this is who I am. This is what I do for a living. Have that guy call me, and then we can talk about his evaluation. I know this is going to surprise you. I never got a call back.
No.
Shocking.
I never got a call back. But you know how they do that. So just for the people, here's another recruiting PSA. This is how they do that. They will go charge these families upwards of $5,000 to $10,000, and sometimes more. Okay, and they promise we're going to get you a scholarship. All right, I've actually showed Tom when I was at Alabama. Tom came to visit us a couple times. He's seen my email. I would get between 500 and 700 emails a day from this company. I'm not watching. First of all, I don't need somebody to tell me who the good players are. You know, when you're at that level, I don't need that help.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So 2 is they would say, hey, they would be able to email me. So they tell the parents, hey, I sent your kid's stuff to Alabama today. Okay. Well, your son's a 5'7", 180-pound pulling guard in the wing tee. He's never playing in Alabama. And so, but they said that. And so they promise a scholarship. And so what they do is they get some of these D3 schools and way out there who have tuition rates of $60,000, $70,000 a year. And they'll say, hey, look, I'll give you a cut of this if you will offer little Johnny a $500 book scholarship. Okay. So they in turn offer little Johnny a $500 book scholarship to come to their D3 school. Well, now the tuition bill, instead of being $80,000 this year, it's going to be $79,950.
That's a deal.
Okay. And so they've upheld their end of the bargain by saying we get a scholarship. And so that kid's never going there. They can't afford the tuition. And so it's just a complete.
But if they could, they wouldn't have to pay for some of the books.
And this company is killing it.
Yeah, I know.
Well, killing it.
You're preying on dreams,
on false hope.
You're preying on hope,
and unsuspecting parents that don't know how the landscape operates.
Yeah, because not everybody whose kid plays sports is familiar with sports.
Yeah, I know it's tough, but all right. So here's a question for you. I'm interested. I haven't talked to you about this. I'm interested to see your take here, Tom. All right, since college recruiting basically has become a fundraising contest in the actual recruitment, how long do you think until we see sports washing come into college athletics, like the PIF Saudi fund? How long? Because you give the same amount of money, you could take the same exact amount of money that they gave John Rahm to go play golf.
Right.
They could buy any team. They could fund any collective in America, any school, and win the national championship in every single sport offered by the NCAA. How long do you think?
Well,
we'll see.
In our current landscape of no leadership, no rules, no guidelines, no policing, no enforcing, and really to this point, no end in sight of that we know of just yet. Won't take long if somebody wants to do it. I think until we see a leadership group, and I'm not talking about the funding groups like a Live or the Saudis or what have you. I'm just talking about something over here in the States that can separate from the NCAA and have a vision and have a plan and have qualified people to come up with the blueprint on where college athletics is happening next. Until we have that, I think we are going to remain in this constant state of everything just thrown up in the air and total chaos and wild, wild west until somebody steps forth. I don't know who that's going to be or how they're going to do it. But I think at the end of the day, no matter what path we go down, the one thing those groups could not do, at least not immediately, is they would not be able to penetrate or take away the media rights deals. So that's the other component in all of this. If you're going to break away from the NCAA, or you're going to break, or private equity groups are going to come in and maybe, let's just say, buy a conference, right? And they're going to fund the whole thing, and they're going to do this, and maybe we have teams that could be included, not included. We could have relegation like soccer, so on and so forth. Until we have leadership on what that's going to be, I don't know if this thing's going anywhere right now, because I don't know how they're going to get out of, number one, how are you going to get out of the scholarship model? Are you going to make the players employees and or unionize? Are you going to revenue share? There are so many things that on the surface sound great and probably could be great. I have yet to hear one person that has come up with a plan to actually accomplish it. That's what has to happen before any of this other stuff can happen.
See, I think that's why we talked about this last week when that whole deal came about, the super conference, that article came out. I think that's why the SEC and the Big Ten are trying, they kind of push back a little bit on it I think they are trying to control the break-off because they also have the control of the TV market.
Absolutely.
But it can't break off. Nothing's breaking off without the TV. So whoever has control of TV, like, if you just want to get technical about it, ESPN and Fox could come together and have this thing done in about 5 minutes.
Wanted to, sure.
They wanted to, they could.
A lot of it,
yeah. They control.
Yeah.
They control the interest.
But you would still have real issues to what Tom's saying. You would still have real issues about unionization.
Yeah, you got to
employees,
do all that. Yeah. Collective bargaining,
revenue share.
Yeah.
How you do collective bargaining? Who
The
represents?
devil's in the details.
Yeah, it's a lot. There's a lot there.
Well, with all that being said, something has to happen, or or maybe they're waiting on the NCAA to go bankrupt, because either the NCAA and all these conferences are going to go bankrupt with these lawsuits, because you're talking about billions with the B and the BBS, like plural, of damages that are going to be levied in this California lawsuit. So something's got to happen. All right, I got a couple more, and I'm going to let you out of here. I appreciate the hell out of your time. You're the best as always. Man. All right, so last year we had Missouri, who yours truly, I was crushing them preseason. I was dead wrong. I admit when I'm wrong.
You do.
I do admit when I'm wrong, just like I admitted I had the ick. I was the asshole. I was the ick this week. All right, so last year we had Missouri. I know it may be a bit early because we had this portal window opening next Monday. Do you have a feel on who you think the team that we're not talking about this time, like who do you think is in a position, maybe even after the first portal window, that is in position to make a move like Missouri last year to come out of nowhere?
So does it have to be a Power 5 team?
No.
Or could it be anybody?
Anybody.
Okay, so let me first start off by saying it's too trendy to say Ole Miss. We already know Ole Miss is going to be good, right?
I call that sneaky though. They were I don't say that. I don't.
Yeah, they were 11-2, top 10 last year.
Yeah, they're not exactly. They're not coming like out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at a lot of Power 5 teams, and I'm asking, okay, are they coming out of nowhere? And then there's teams where you sit there and say, well, would I maybe kind of like to say Miami? Would I maybe kind of like to say Texas A&M? I've gotten myself in a position now where I'm done with those groups. They got to prove it. I'm tired of hearing every offseason that it's going to happen, it's going to happen, it's going to happen. Like Sark finally proved it at Texas, right?
Yep.
And give Texas and Sark and that staff some credit. And I'm willing to back the Longhorns because they finally got over that hurdle. But you know who I might go with the expansion of the college football playoff? I think this team is going to be the next Tulane, and that's Memphis.
Whoa.
So Memphis returns their quarterback, Seth Hennigan.
Yep.
SMU moves on to the ACC.
They do.
Okay. Tulane loses a multitude of players, including their quarterback, Michael Pratt. Memphis has completely retooled their offensive line with Power 5 additions. They've got 3 options at both of the tackle spots and 2 options, including a true freshman that started the bowl game when they beat Iowa State last year. So they won 10 games, and nobody knows it. If you went out and polled right now the general college football fan and asked how many games Memphis won last year, if anybody says 10, they're lying. 2 weeks ago, I didn't know it was 10.
I have to admit, I did know because one of my good friends is assistant head coach there, so I work with him.
Oh,
so
there you go. And I think,
shout out my man Charles Clark, serial killer.
I think Ryan Silverfield was initially a comfort hire. It was an easy hire at the time, and all he's done is prove it was the right hire. And I've always been a firm believer, if you've got a quarterback, you've got a chance. In that conference, there's not a lot of returning experience at the position. They've got it. So to me, they could be a team in my mind that could. And I know comparing a Memphis and a Missouri is two different things, especially from a conference affiliation standpoint. But I just brought them up, and I'm fairly certain nobody else is going to be really talking about them. So that would be a team that I think could be a dark horse.
Yeah, I was talking to John Summerall, a good friend of mine. Full disclosure,
great dude.
And we were talking, and you got with that, the college football playoff expanding, and you got SMU that's leaving, and all that. You basically between Tulane, Boise, Memphis, UTSA, it's such a small pool of schools that you have to be better than to get in the playoffs.
And Houston left.
And Houston's gone, right? So there's just a small pool of schools that you really have to beat in order to get into that playoff. And once you get in the playoff, that you're taking off because now you got portal, you got an influx of cash. There's lots of good things that can happen on that.
You got a Power 5 sleeper. I don't even know that mine's a sleeper, but nobody's talking about them in the playoff. And mine's Tennessee, just because of Nico at quarterback. And the program's been in the same group for a while. I'm a little worried about their defense.
I agree 1,000% they're going to be good. My only scare is the SEC. People are forgetting that the SEC is going to 16 teams, and you're bringing in Texas and you're bringing in Oklahoma. Okay, so there's going to be some additional losses that go around that haven't been going around, and I think they're going to be around on the cusp. I do. I think they'll be that 9-3, 10-2 cusp where you just got to figure it out. What's going on there.
And you're right on the defensive side, Neal. But I'm not a huge statistic guy, but they jumped from. I mean, they were like I think ranked in the 70s or 80s 2 years ago, and then they jumped into the top 35 this last year. So they are showing some incremental improvement on that side of the ball. And now we'll get an opportunity to see Nico in a full capacity, right? To have the full sample size, not just the bowl game versus Iowa or a throw here and a throw there. And I mean, that's arguably I call that the biggest plug and play offense in maybe the history of college football.
All right, you mentioned mine, by the way, earlier, and you're just not ready to do it. But I'm anxious to see them play because I know they have talent, and that's Miami. I want to see them play with Cam Ward at quarterback now. They have a legit dude at quarterback. Yeah. And I want to see Cam Ward at quarterback with all that talent that's around him. Depending on how much talent is going to be there after April 15th, okay?
Right.
Assuming that the same talent that's there on, what's the day? April the 8th is there in May the 1st. I will be excited to see them play with Cam Ward at quarterback because I think
we could have this conversation 2 or 3 weeks from now and be talking about rosters that are missing 30 guys.
Right? Oh, hey, I know we're about to let you go, but listen, you're exactly right. It's one of the reasons that I've almost. I mean, we've covered spring football, but I've almost been kind of careful to do it because I don't expect Ole Miss to have a bunch of defections. But, dude, I don't know.
I think they're going to be fine.
I mean, I do too. But until I mean, you're literally 1 week from today, if the whole roster wanted to jump in the portal,
they could.
Yeah.
But they're already getting paid top dollar. There's not.
Yeah, no, I get it. But you understand
they're well taken care of.
But you understand my point. Yeah. I promise you, there will be guys getting not from Ole Miss necessarily, just in general.
Yes.
There will be guys who get in the portal next week, and it will shock people.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. Oh, yeah. So let me ask you guys this question before we leave. I touched on this with you, Tyler, earlier today. Are you guys as tired as I am of seeing videos on the internet of Joe Milton throwing the ball 75 yards? Who freaking cares? Who cares?
I like watching the 90-mile-an-hour fastball short hop, the 5-yard out route. Those are the fun ones.
Oh, well, yeah. Turn on the tape. That's all I have to say. All I know is I just referenced the biggest plug-and-play offense of all time. Dylan Gabriel, okay? Hendon Hooker. I could go through all the guys that whether it's Jeff Levy, whether it's Heupel, they've all been in that 69% completion percentage.
Yep.
Joe Milton's hovering right around 64, which isn't bad. That's fine.
Right.
But in that offensive scheme, you're in the 69 to 72 by and large if you're a pretty good, accurate guy. I was on the sideline the first year Hendon Hooker transferred to Tennessee, week 2, Pitt at Tennessee. That's with Kenny Pickett. Pitt ended up winning that game. We are not to the second quarter. Joe Milton is overthrown two touchdowns, running wide open down the field. Josh Heupel yanks him. Hendon Hooker goes in, and the rest is history, right? And you go back to Michigan, 49% completion percentage, 51% completion percentage.
Did they let him
that
throw
last year?
Did they let him throw the ball?
What's that?
Did they let him throw the ball?
Yeah, they let him throw the ball. But I'm just sitting there going, I know he's big. I know he's tall. I know he can throw the ball a mile. I get it. I get it, man. But the position's about two things: decision-making and accuracy. And I don't care if you're 6'1", 5'11", or 6'4", if you're 190 pounds or you're 225 pounds. If you don't make routine plays routinely and you are not consistent in your decision-making and accuracy, you can throw the ball 100 miles. I don't care.
If I give you the Commanders, you're the GM of the Commanders, Caleb Williams goes off the board, you're picking second, and you got to go quarterback. Who's your guy?
Jaden Daniels.
You taking him over May?
I am, because Drake May, when you really, really turn on the tape, you love the physical attributes, but he hasn't been able to close out seasons, and he takes a lot of risks with the football when he's outside of the pocket. And that's why I actually thought Jaden Daniels made his most improvement.
He did.
Was the decisions he makes when he's on the move. I'll give you a prime example. We were talking about Matt Corral, Tyler. The first 2 weeks of the UFL, his ability to not only evade and create a second chance, and it looks like he's going to run, then he pops his eyes up and he finds an opportunity through the air. That's where I think Jaden Daniels has improved significantly. I loved Drake May. I had, I think, 3 of his games the last couple of years, but something's not right on the back half of the season. And I don't know what it is. I don't know where they go, what happens, but there's a significant drop-off.
Interesting.
It is.
Yep. All right. Last question. I'm going to get you out of here. I promise you this is the last one. Okay.
Okay.
All right. I love me some Superman. I'm a big Superman guy.
Mm-hmm.
Always have been since I had Superman underoos back in the day.
Yeah.
You know, I was running around the house.
Who didn't?
Yeah. I mean, who didn't, right? But there's no other human being on this planet that can compare to the love of Superman that my man Tom Luginbill has for Superman. He's a big Superman guy. I mean, I'm talking about this guy's, he's skiing with his cape on. I mean, that's what you got. There you go. I mean, he's massive Superman guy, right? So the main question of this podcast, and something we have to get settled here, is how, as fans of Superman who grew up loving Superman, how are we to swallow the fact that they had Batman of all people kill Superman? How can we accept that as Superman fans?
So, full disclosure, I'm a huge superhero fan and superhero movie fan.
Okay.
I have never read a comic book in my life. Second full disclosure, the movie Batman versus Superman, which was directed by Zack Snyder, all right, it just so happens that myself and Dave Pash were hired as the broadcasters for the game in that movie, which was Metropolis versus Gotham, all right? And if you go watch the Ultimate Edition of it, you'll see me and Dave in the newsroom of the Daily Planet, and you'll hear our voices. We're calling the game.
Did you get paid for that?
Oh yeah, I still get residuals. It's unbelievable. Now
really?
sometimes they might be 17 cents. Sometimes they might be $300. For about the first 3 years, they're quarterly. Dude, I did popping a check, $800, $1,200. So yeah, it's awesome. I get like retirement info from SAG.
Really?
It's hysterical. Yeah.
I learned something today.
Yeah. So anyway, to answer your question, technically Batman did not kill Superman. The creation of General Zod's equal Superman heroes, right? And Lex Luthor creating what is known as Doomsday in the comic book series actually killed Superman.
Okay.
Batman set out throughout the movie to try to kill Superman, and the way he did it is he was mining kryptonite. And then he built little weapons out of kryptonite to use against Superman to weaken him enough to where he thinks he could kill him. But in the end, of course, they end up joining forces. But it's actually Doomsday that kills Superman.
Got it. Love it, man. Tom, you're the best as always. Thank you so much
for
joining us. Hey, before you,
I'm such a nerd.
Hey, no, you're good. No, that was great. I got education there. Hey, before you go, give everybody that since you're doing your TikTok stuff and your social media, give everybody your social media so they can go follow and get you cranked up on TikTok and Instagram and Twitter and all that stuff.
At Tom Luginbill, at the real Tom Luginbill and all of that stuff. And I'm just kind of trying to post things of kids that I see, younger kids that are going to be up and comers that I really like, and throw them out there, see how they get received. But Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook.
These are real evaluations. These are real evaluations.
And they're free.
And they're free. They don't cost $1. You get somebody that's actually done it evaluating kids for free.
The better way to do it is to get an adult to sponsor you.
Yes.
And that way that'll move you up to the front of the line for one of these big evaluations. And then during the evaluation, you can go, boom, look at that. Boom, what a play. And that way, I mean, look, Nick Saban's gone, but Kalen DeBoer, he's there. He'll see it. He'll make an offer, and the rest will be history.
Love it. Love it. Tom, you're the best, man. Thank you, brother.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me, man.
You bet, man. Tom's the best. Love me some Tom. Yeah, that's great. All right, Neal, we got a couple more things we got to get out of here. You got any bills paid for you? Get this last part, or are we good?
I think we're good.
I think we did our co-authors. All right. Before we move on, because I promised I'd cover this one too. So I got in trouble with the icks and all that stuff. I had one more baseball ick that happened on your message board. So we had somebody was criticizing a local high school player and his emotion in a game.
Okay.
Also, the kid is actually committed to Ole Miss. So my message board, my ick is this. Don't criticize a kid. First of all, he is a kid. He's not getting paid any money. He's committed to your school. He's committed to your school. Don't criticize the kid that's committed to your school. That leaves bad taste in their mouth. And he could turn out to be freaking Shohei Ohtani. We don't know. And you just ran a kid off. Don't be an asshole. All right, so that's on that one. All right, Neal. A few more things. We got some Masters stuff coming up. I'll give Masters picks in a second.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm not going to talk a whole lot about this. I know you probably had a hot take on this one. No, I wouldn't call it a hot take. You had a take on this one.
Yeah. I just had a human take on it.
A human take.
Mm-hmm.
John Calipari to Arkansas. My only take I have on this is it's a win-win for both sides. One, Arkansas gets arguably one of the best college basketball coaches to ever coach the game. One of, I didn't say I said one of.
Yeah.
And then two is Kentucky was ready for a change. They just couldn't afford a change.
Yeah.
And let's let everybody win. It's a win-win. You can have win-wins.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be one or the other. It can be a win for Kentucky, and it is. He'd been there for a long time. They were ready to move on. They couldn't afford to move on. $33 million. That's gone now. $33 million buyout just went away, disappears. Arkansas gets a coach without having to pay a buyout. And for Arkansas, the win is not as much that it's Calipari. The win is that you finally got somebody who, at least at this point, they believe, can unite a fan base from a NIL salary, whatever standpoint.
There's NIL to be united.
There's a lot of money, but they've had a difficult time getting the Northwest Arkansas faction and the Little Rock faction to agree on the same thing.
Right.
It's been kind of like the Hatfield and the McCoys a little bit.
That sounds like another SEC West school.
And so they've got that together now. And so they were able to pledge a lot of money to NIL. And look, in today's environment, this is my thing. And you see it at Ole Miss with football. Just because something didn't work in the past doesn't mean it won't work now. And just because it works now doesn't mean it's going to work in the future. But right now, Arkansas had hit a point with Musselman where the NIL wasn't going to be there for him. So, yeah, 2 Elite Eights, a Sweet 16, sure. Absolutely. Phenomenal. But this year didn't go well, and next year wasn't going to go well, and the year after that wasn't going to go well. Now they bring in Calipari. He's going to bring recruits with him.
How many guys you think leave Kentucky to go to Arkansas?
He has 6 5-star recruits committed to him at Kentucky.
I'm talking about like current players, you think?
Oh, of his current players, I don't know, 2 or 3. The big thing that everybody's watching is the recruits. He has 6 5-star kids committed to Kentucky. Had the number 2 ranked class in the country behind Duke. Duke has Cooper Flagg. Cooper Flagg's a beast.
He's good.
Oh, he's so good. I mean, most people think so far today, from what I've read, I haven't spent a lot of time on this because I was trying to get the eclipse and stuff, but 3 of those 6 go to Arkansas. Well, 3 5-star recruits is a haul,
especially in basketball.
So you get, if you put together a better class, maybe they have the money numbers that are being mentioned for them are pretty huge. Maybe you put together the type of team that makes the tournament, makes a run in the tournament. I don't know, right? But the thing is, that's a win for them. They weren't going to have that. They went after Chris Beard. They didn't get Chris Beard. Made Ole Miss, like I said on the message board a little while ago, they made Ole Miss take a good long look in the mirror at some point on Friday and go, okay, what are we doing? I mean, 2 weeks ago, Ole Miss wasn't preparing to pay a basketball coach $5+ million.
Pretty good gig if you can get it.
And now they are. So Arkansas.
What was he making?
Right, it's like 3.5.
Gotcha.
I mean,
good raise.
It's a good raise if you can get it. I mean, Arkansas made him. They went after him. It's cool. I mean, people got worked up about it, but hey, look, you say, hey, we want to get an elite coach. He's an elite coach. You pursue him. So I think it was a win for a lot of people. And now we wait and see what Kentucky does.
I got a question for you.
Who does Kentucky end up with?
I'm going to ask Neal, Tyler. On TikTok, we got a question for you, Neal. It says, so if Beard was offered the Kentucky job, would he stay at Ole Miss? Can y'all comment on that? I'm asking Neal because Neal knows more than I do.
I mean, I don't know because I don't know Chris well enough on any personal level to know what he thought. I'll say what I said earlier today. There's probably not a coach in the country that wouldn't answer the call from Kentucky and listen. I would think Chris Beard would absolutely listen to Kentucky.
It's kind of like receiving the football call from Alabama, right?
Yeah.
You got to listen.
I mean, if you made me guess, would Chris Beard leave for Kentucky if he were offered the job? Yes. Now, do I think Chris Beard's going to get the Kentucky job? I don't.
Where do you think it's going?
I mean,
Drew?
If I'm Kentucky.
Oh, you know where they're going. They're waiting, what, till midnight tonight?
Well, I mean, you have to make Dan Hurley at least listen.
I'm sure his agent's already been called.
You have to talk to Scott Drew.
Yeah, that's who I was referring to. Baylor, right?
Yeah, well, I think it's the best coach in the country.
Okay.
I think you have to at least inquire about Nate Oates. Look at the job that he's done at Alabama. Took Alabama to the Final Four.
Kentucky brand of basketball, kind of.
It's a very fun brand of basketball.
Yeah, it's fun to watch.
And Nate's done a fantastic job at Alabama. I think you would have to at least behind closed doors, very closed doors, as privately as you could, you'd have to ask about Billy Donovan. Are you interested in returning to the college game? It's been a minute. I think it's been 9 seasons since he left Florida for the Oklahoma City Thunder. He's now at the Chicago Bulls. I think you'd have to at least inquire about Billy Donovan. Look, you're Kentucky. When you're Kentucky, you can kind of inquire about anybody.
Yeah,
right?
That's what I'm saying. They don't really have.
I mean, I'm making the call. He wouldn't do it, but I'm at least calling. I probably call the Celtics and I ask about Brad Stevens, who's not coaching anymore, but he's running their organization. Right. Would you have any interest? And if not, who would you hire? What would you do? I mean, the list would be a long one. I'd talk to Bruce Pearl.
Yeah,
there's a lot of people that if I'm them that I look at. It's a phenomenal program with an incredible history, and
I think it works out for everybody though. I think it's a win-win, both sides good there, and I'm with you. I think they can pretty much call who the hell they want to call.
Yeah, I think it was one of those deals where kind of everybody won, but we live in this world now, Tyler, where there must be a loser. There must be. Everything is white or black. There's no shades of gray. Even though, like you in the real world, everything's shades of gray.
Yes.
And no. It's 100. It's 0. It's this sideline and this sideline. No, man, there's a lot in the middle here. I mean, is it a win for Kentucky? Hell yeah, it's a win. They wanted him to go. They couldn't afford for him to go. Now, he did a really good job accumulating talent there over the years.
Yeah.
So you gotta hope that the next guy can also do that.
No, I agree.
I mean, if you're Arkansas, all of a sudden people are excited. All of a sudden, you're not going to have a hard time filling the roster. All of a sudden, you've got all this NIL money, salary money to buy players right there in front of you. Maybe this galvanizes a fan base where they decide to invest in football. They just who knows?
That was my next question. How does this affect Sam Pittman, you think?
I mean, look, you and I both know this. He has to win this year or it's over. This was Yurachek. If you're Hunter Yurachek and you have the ability to hire John Calipari, you do.
Right, yeah. Anybody does.
And so, yeah, does this affect their football team this year? Of course not.
No, I'm just talking about like long-term financial.
Nah, I mean, look.
I mean, that's a big investment for basketball.
Look, it's a big investment for basketball. I think at any of these SEC schools, 15 of the 16, you can't afford to punt football.
Agree.
Okay, you can't afford to punt it. That being said, you know this. There's only a handful of programs each year that can honestly go, hey, we're going to be playoff contenders.
That's kind of what I'm getting at.
Is Arkansas ever going to be a playoff contender in basketball? I mean, in football? I mean, ever is a big word.
Yeah. I mean, there would have been years in the past.
Yeah, there was
years.
There was the Petrino year a few years ago where they just happened to be in the
when
league.
When he was there, they were as good as anybody in the country.
They were really
Houston Nuts first year or second year.
I mean, his problem that year at Arkansas was that Alabama and LSU were juggernauts, and they just happened to be in the SEC West.
And they played for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible that Arkansas was the third best team in the country that year.
Agreed.
So can you get there? Yeah, you can get there. Is it really freaking hard? Yeah, it's really freaking hard there. I mean, in terms of just, hey, what's the sport where you can truly make a splash? At Arkansas, I think basketball is a safer bet than football.
And baseball.
And baseball's a totally different deal. Like, that's just off in its own little world. But so I don't know. I mean, look, I think at all of these programs, you have to be, if you're not invested in both football and men's basketball, kind of have to ask yourself why.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it's the other stuff that everyone's insisting on. I'm like, hey, what's the return on investment on that? If you're in the men's basketball tournament, if you make a run in the men's basketball tournament, you get some return.
You get paid.
You get some return on investment. I'm going to tell you the other thing's not on our list to talk about, and we'll skip over it fast. The sport right now that you look at and go, it's kind of interesting, is you see these numbers that you're getting with women's basketball. And I'm not a women's basketball guy at all. Like, I really, before this season, I don't know that I ever watched more than a game that I was paid to watch. Look, are the numbers just Caitlin Clark? I don't know. We're going to find out.
Yeah, we're going to find out.
But if for some reason Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and all these people are the launching pad for that sport becoming mainstream and popular, and that tournament getting the same kind of eyeballs that the men, then you've got to start thinking about.
It's needed.
You have to think about whether you're going to be invested in that.
No doubt. All right, two more things.
Yeah, someone mentions Jay Wright. Yes, you absolutely call Jay Wright, the former Villanova coach. Yeah. I will say
anybody that can coach.
I would be shocked if Jay Wright,
he's got a good gig, man,
leaves that gig, because he didn't like where college basketball was going. He made it very clear that's not what he wanted to do. I'd be surprised if Jay Wright left the gig that he's in to go to Kentucky. But yes, if you're Kentucky, you're probably one of 3, maybe 4 schools that could get Jay Wright to at least answer the phone.
No doubt. All right, little golf. Then we'll cover tonight. We're done. I know you didn't watch this. I had to bring this up. This was great. This made me. I shouldn't say I did laugh. I should say I didn't laugh, but I did laugh. So yesterday, I'm getting in the golf mood. Me and my man Bob fisting to crank it up on the weekend. So watched a little bit yesterday of the final round. So Akshay Bhatia wins he's a young 22-year-old golfer. He's been on tour for a couple of years. I think it's his second year. Wins the Houston Open, or Valero Texas Open, I guess. Wins that to qualify for the Masters.
Okay.
All right, this guy is a freak of an athlete, Neal. Mm-hmm. He is 6'1", 130 pounds.
Yep.
He is skinny. So my man hits about a 15-foot putt on 18 to tie to go to a playoff, and he starts celebrating, and he does a fist pump, and as he was fist pumping, he dislocated his shoulder.
Oh, man.
He's got to go to a playoff. First time I've ever seen it. So he's over there signing his scorecard. He's talking to his fiance. He's like rubbing his shoulder, and he gets the tee box and he tees it off in the playoff hole. Now, this is huge for him, right? If he wins this tournament, he gets his 1.7 or whatever he made. Plus, he gets an invite to the Masters.
Mm-hmm.
So he calls the PGA Tour official, and he has to get his trainer. He gives him the phone number to call his trainer. His trainer comes out to the fairway, and then he's asking, this live on TV. He goes, is there anywhere I have to get taped up? Is there anywhere I can go so I have to take my shirt off? I don't want the whole world seeing me take my shirt off or whatever. And so he went off behind the stands. They told the TV not to follow him. He got taped up, came back and stuck that bitch to about 8 feet, won the playoff.
Wow.
And he's going to the Masters. But dislocated his shoulder because he's so muscular and built and swole. They dislocated his shoulder fist pumping. Gotta love that.
All right.
Bonafide athlete. All right, Neal, we got the Masters. I know you're juiced. Will you watch the Masters this weekend?
I'm going to watch every single shot.
Will you watch some of it, though? You said this is the one tournament you do watch.
I'm working on my picks right now. How many picks do I get?
You can pick as many as you want. I got 4. I've already placed my wagers because I didn't want the TikTok crew and Criteria Club to move my numbers like they do.
You've got 4. I'm going to give 4 in a minute.
Okay, so here are my 4 official wagers. I've already placed them for the Masters. Here we go. I did this based on odds, too. One, I think Scotty Scheffler is going to win the tournament, but he's like at plus 500. I'm not wasting my money on that. Here we go. I'm taking who I do think is going to win the Masters. He is my number 1 pick. He's on the LIV Golf Tour. Nobody's talking about him. He always plays well at Augusta. Give me Joaquin Niemann at 30-1.
Absolutely.
Joaquin Niemann at 30-1.
I remember Joaquin Andahar.
You would know who he was if he was on the PGA Tour. He's actually a very good golfer. He just started getting good on the PGA Tour and then went to LIV. So he never got his props. I'm taking Jordan Spieth at 25-1.
Yeah.
He drove the ball very well this weekend. Still got to get this putter shit figured out, but he plays well at Augusta. That's his track. Augusta is one of those tracks that you have to have course knowledge. Mm-hmm. So I'm taking Jordan at 25-1.
Okay.
I also took, and here are my 2 long shots. I took Bryson DeChambeau at 50-1.
50-1.
He is playing well right now.
Okay.
He knows how to get around the track at Augusta. He plays well there. Obviously can hit the ball a country mile. I like the way he's playing right now. He's playing good, so I'm taking him at 50-1. And my super long shot that I did place this wager.
Okay.
Super duper long shot. Has a green jacket.
Oh.
Tied, went into a playoff, lost in a playoff. He's lost in 2 playoffs on the LIV Tour this year. Is playing probably the best golf he's played in the last 10 years right now. And he has a green jacket. Give me Sergio Garcia at 135-1.
Okay.
Those are my 4 picks, my 4 bets that I placed on the Masters. That I will be there Saturday.
All right.
And I will be, me and my man Bob will be there eating a pimento cheese sandwich and drinking a beer. Lots of them.
Just not on your phone.
Will not be on my phone. So don't text me because I won't see it.
All right, I'll make my 4 picks.
All right, who we got?
I'm going with Ludvig Aberg from Sweden.
He's good.
I know.
You don't know that, but he is good.
I'm looking right at him.
He's a young star in the making. Baller. Good pick.
Why do you question me?
Because you have no idea what you're picking, but that's a good pick.
Gonna go with Santiago de la Fuente. He's an amateur. Watch him as an amateur to make the cut. Santiago de la Fuente.
No chance. Go ahead. Don't pick that one. If he wins, I'll die.
I'm looking. I'm kind of going through some. Emiliano Grillo.
All right.
From Argentina.
Solid golfer. Good ball striker.
Yeah.
Really good. Hey, really good tee to green.
Yeah.
Really good approach distance. Really good. But he's struggling lately. He was hot last summer.
And then, okay, I'm going to amateur and then 2 other picks.
You've already got your amateur out of the way.
I know. I've already. I'm saying that's one of my amateurs. Just my amateur pick.
Okay, I got you.
I like Nikolai Holgaard from Denmark.
Also good. He's got the letter in his name where he goes. I don't even know how you pronounce it, but he's got it's like the 0 with a line through.
Yeah, with a line through.
What's that called? Do you know? You're a journalist. You should know.
I don't know.
I was counting on you.
What's interesting is that the O in his first name, Nikolai, is not the thing. So it must be like a
how do you type that on the keyboard?
Yeah, you have to hold the O down.
Okay.
And then it gives you options.
Okay.
And then my 4th and final pick. I'm just going through all of the different options here. Just different guys that I got a feeling about because I've been watching these guys. Got a feeling it's not gonna be an American. It's got a feeling. Got a feeling it's not going to be an American.
Well, that cuts the list down.
Adrian Moronk from Poland.
Averages grits. That one's
going to have a big week.
Won't make the cut.
Going to have a big week.
My man Bob in the Cooper Chevrolet chat says, Brooks Koepka. I wanted to bet Brooks is my favorite golfer of today's world, besides when Tiger's not playing. My man Brooks shot 10 over on the weekend this weekend, so he's usually in form coming into this thing. Yeah. He's not in form right now. It's got me worried. And then Xander Schauffele. There's a guy that's got a chance. He can fire it when he gets hot with a putt. If his putter gets hot, he's going to be as good as anybody. So we're looking forward to it. We're going.
I'd say the one good thing when your putter gets hot, is that you just go ahead and hit it because you want to let go. It's hot.
I got you. There you go.
Unless you're wearing gloves.
All right. Last thought. We've been here a long time today. Last thoughts. All right. We got UConn versus Purdue tonight.
Yep.
Final Four championship game.
Yep.
I've already placed my wager, Neal.
Okay.
I went 5-unit wager tonight.
Oh.
Big wager for me. I usually do this for the championship games. I took the UConn Huskies minus 6.5. Got them at 6.5.
Okay. I'm with you.
Over Purdue.
Agreed.
I think that NC State in that game, I'm sure you watched the game as well, or if you did.
I did not see the first one. I was at Oxford High School, a pre-prom
activities.
Thing. Yeah.
So NC State did a really good job defensively. Mm-hmm. If they could, Edey's going to get his if he gets in the post. But what they did, they collapsed down on him when they were playing 2-3 zone or whatever. They collapsed down on him with the guards and were stripping the ball from him a lot. Had a ton of turnovers. I think he gave some ways to defend him. And look, UConn's already good on defense. They don't need help. And the UConn-Alabama game, Alabama played them as good as that could be played.
Yeah.
And, you were like, for a minute there, you're like, oh, well, Alabama may have a chance to do this. And you just looked up. Literally, you look down and you look up, and they're up by 10.
Yeah.
They just put so much pressure on you.
That's what they do.
And when they do that to Purdue can't shoot twos and catch up. I think they're going to get ran away late in the second half, probably from about the 10-minute mark on the end of the game. I think UConn wins this by 15 or 20. I think this will be pretty much over. Grind says I'll be all only under at 147. Yeah, that's a lot of points, Grind. I'm probably with you on that one. I don't think Purdue gets. They're going to be in the low 60s if they get there. If they get to the 60s, I think Purdue's in the high 50s or low 60s.
I think it's UConn big tonight.
Yeah, so that's where I'm going.
UConn makes a statement. I don't think we were giving enough appreciation to what UConn's doing. And not too many teams defend the title successfully, and it looks like they're going to do it. It's a hell of an accomplishment. Duke did it back in the day with Grant Hill and Christian Laettner and Bobby Hurley. Florida did it with Corey Brewer and Joakim Noah and Al Horford. It's hard to do. It's hard to win back-to-back.
Hard to do, brother.
Only special teams do it. Speaking of special, thanks to our guy Tom Luginbill today. He was great. Really appreciate him visiting with us. And again, our thanks to all of the people at Rain, Bob Brucato, everybody at Rain. Rain Total Body Fuel, 300 milligrams, natural caffeine, BCAAs, electrolytes, zero sugar. It's got what you need to push the limits and achieve your goals. Check them out on Instagram at Rain Body Fuel to learn more. Also, just phenomenal people there at Rain. In addition to the product. Really appreciate everybody at Monster and Rain for sponsoring the show. Have a great week, everybody. Enjoy the Masters and all that stuff. We'll be back with you a week from now. We will be talking about the transfer portal. For Tyler Siskey, I'm Neal McCready. Have a good one.